Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at Dynasty strategy, specifically how to trade away top Dynasty running backs. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. So, to start in general, I don't like having these top Dynasty running backs on my roster. In Dynasty Superflex startups, it would be hard to draft them because I prefer to build my team around quarterback and wide receiver. Almost never would I have any of these top running backs. In 1QB, it's more likely because the quarterbacks are not valued as highly. So there's room to take running backs earlier. But as most Dynasty leagues are Superflex, especially now, leagues starting out are almost all Superflex. We're going to focus on Superflex for all of these trades. So typically, if I'm going to acquire a top running back, it would be in the rookie draft, which I've done many times, where the opportunity cost is lower. Sometimes you get in positions where that's the best move, like in 2022, if you had the 101 and got Breece Hall. So there's possibility to do that. Now, there's a few different strategies to trade away these top running backs. So I'm going to look at a few different ones. Number one, the one-to-one pivot to another position. Of course, the simplest way to trade a player is just to trade them one for a different player that I prefer that the market doesn't. Typically with running backs, it's going to be a wide receiver or a quarterback in Superflex. And here are a couple of easy pivots according to Keep Trade Cut that you can do in your Dynasty leagues. Number one, let's say you had Christian McCaffrey. And, you still want to compete, but you want to go to a younger and safer asset. You could trade Christian McCaffrey for A.J. Brown. Now, is A.J. Brown going to deliver what Christian McCaffrey delivers this year? Probably not. But A.J. Brown is younger than Christian McCaffrey and is a wide receiver who ages better and has much more dynasty value. But in Keep Trade Cut, Christian McCaffrey is ranked higher, which I disagree with. So I would make this trade pretty much no matter the state of my team. And then, another one you could do is trading for a quarterback. I almost find this hard to believe. Like, I don't believe this. Like, Keep Trade Cut claims that Bijan Robinson in Superflex is worth more than Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, or Kyler Murray. He's worth more than all three. I find that hard to believe. I think that in your actual leagues, this doesn't really happen as often as this ranking claims that it would. But apparently, according to Keep Trade Cut, you can trade Bijan Robinson for these three quarterbacks. I think most smart people would tell you that that's a good idea, especially for Caleb Williams, who I like the best of these three in Dynasty. Maybe it won't happen in your league. And I'm sure I'm going to hear that. Oh, this will never happen in my league. Oh, it won't happen. Try it. What's the worst thing? The offer is declined. It's really not the end of the world. So, yeah. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon, where I help you walk through these trades. It won't take place in the YouTube comments. It will not take place on Twitter, or X, as people are calling it these days. It will only take place on Patreon, where I will help you. You get my rankings, access to the Discord, which is where the Discord is where these conversations mostly take place. The ability to ask those in advance questions for the YouTube. Sometimes I do trade reviews with Patreon questions. Tiers begin at just $6 a month. And I also have the option where I'll review your roster in a video that's only available for patrons. And I really appreciate everyone who signed up, any new patrons who join. It's tough. It's tough because it supports the content, especially the content like this video, which I know isn't going to do well in the YouTube algorithm. I know that. I know this is not a winner. But if people support the Patreon, I can afford to do bad algorithm videos like this one that's going to have a rough time. But also, it's the best place to actually get my advice 24/7. So I really appreciate everyone who signs up. And especially as we head into the season, I'm only going to be busier. I'm going to be less active on Twitter, even more active on the Patreon Discord, which is the place to be. And, I spend more and more of the video on this promo. So it should tell you that it's not working that well. If lots of people were signing up, I would make this promo 30 seconds, but they're not. So the promo's only going to get longer and longer because I'm really trying. I don't know what else to do. It's really hard to sell people on this. I keep trying, but the best way is to just check it out. And I promise you won't regret it. So, yeah. Let's move into our next strategy tip. Tearing down and running back. Typically, not the best way I trade a top running back. I typically find that players like Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs are worth too much more than the other running backs to trade down from there. But if you have someone like Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor, you sometimes can trade down, can buy back some years, as in get younger, to another good running back. Speaking of those two players, I like Christian McCaffrey, but as you notice, he's been mentioned twice in this video. If I could move down from Christian McCaffrey to Jonathan Taylor, a younger player, and get a 25-second pack, I would do that. I'm willing to give up a little bit of those points to go younger and get an extra asset. And then kind of similarly with going from Jonathan Taylor to Devon Achane, I love the upside of Devon Achane. He's a lot younger, has a lot less miles on him. And if you can get a 25-second and 25-third back with him to sell Jonathan Taylor, I would definitely do that. So that's something you can look at. And then there's more different kinds of moves. There's this one. You could sell Travis Etienne for Jonathan Brooks plus anything. We know from watching my videos, not a believer in Travis Etienne. We know that. Jonathan Brooks is a player I believe in. Now, you could buy the dip. People are saying, wow, it's news. He's on the PUP, NFI, or whatever list. We all knew he was going to be on that list. So that doesn't really surprise me. Jonathan Brooks is 4.5 years younger than Travis Etienne. He is, also a really good prospect. If I could get anything on top of Jonathan Brooks to sell Travis Etienne, I would. Would not surprise me if Travis Etienne is one of the running backs who loses the most value between now and a year from now. And then lastly, someone who's even older than Travis Etienne, someone where, while I love Saquon Barkley, there is a range of outcomes where Saquon Barkley comes out and he's really great. But if Saquon Barkley does not deliver, and it can't be running back 10, if Saquon Barkley doesn't deliver a league-winning season, he will be worth a lot less next year. As a 28-year-old running back, which is what he will be in 2025, you do not hold value unless you are a league winner. That's how good you have to be. So he better deliver. Probably even higher than I have in my redraft, which is RB6. Probably has to deliver that at a minimum to hold his value, probably more. So if you could get two younger players, something like Trey Benson and Keon Coleman, or Trey Benson and Lavin Cook, you could probably get more than that. I'm probably shooting low here. You could probably get more than that. You could probably get Trey Benson, one of those players, and another pick, another second. Some people really still like Saquon Barkley. I'm not one of them. I just think the risk profile is too high. And unlike Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley has never been a league winner by himself. Never. In his entire 6-year career, he's never done it. He finishes the RB1 in 2018, but it wasn't the same as Christian McCaffrey's RB1 levels, league winning by himself. So, and that was his rookie year. That was his best year. That was 6 years ago. So I would bet against Saquon Barkley being a league winner this year, being the player you need. So I would definitely look to move off of him. Probably shoot higher for this than this package. Now, the last thing of trading off top running backs, and this is probably my best idea, is acquiring a 25 first. Now, again, nothing in this video is original, right? Wow, I'm suggesting trading for a 25 first. Wow, that's really not an original concept, right? But just because it's not the most innovative doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do. I think the 2025 rookie class will provide a sea change at running back in the NFL. It's loaded with great prospects, and we are stuck on a lot of older or meh running backs inhabiting starting jobs that really don't belong there. I think the 2025 class is the great way to pivot off these top running backs because it gives you a chance to get another one in that class. For some of them, I'd want something on top of the 25 first. For others, straight up works. Lastly, there's some where you might have to add to them to get to the 25 first. Let's look at some ideas. Now, here's one. I mean, Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall, could you get Brandon Ayuk and a 25 first? Some would say that's not enough. For me, if I can get, I mean, maybe you can get even more. I don't know. But this would be a good place to start for me to sell a running back. For Jahmyr Gibbs, could you get Jalen Waddle in the 25 first? Nico Collins in the 25 first? You want to get something to replace that production and have a 25 first on top of it. Could you get, if you had Kyron Williams or Travis Etienne or Kenneth Walker or Saquon Barkley, could you get a 25 first in Superflex straight up for those players? I'd probably take it. I get not doing it. You don't have to do it. But if you're not confident about competing, this is a way to give you a much safer asset. Then kind of step down to Isaiah Pacheco and Rachaad White. You might have to add a 25 third to them to get a 25 first. I would still do it. And then lastly, the player I really want to get rid of, Josh Jacobs. I'm willing to add a 25 second to Josh Jacobs to get a 25 first if absolutely necessary. I think after 5 weeks, Josh Jacobs is not going to be sellable. I have no interest in Josh Jacobs. I think we saw last year that he was kind of washed up. Now he's 26 years old. He's a lot of carries on him. Are we just thinking he's magically going to be good? I have serious concerns about Josh Jacobs. So he's the one I'm most looking to sell. Now, I have some Patreon questions. So let's jump into those. Favorite fantasy player you've ever rostered can be from any year or time period. Well, Philip Lindsay was my big, I can't even talk. Big first Dynasty waiver wire pickup. A lot of big words, apparently, that I can't say. He kind of got me into Dynasty a little bit. But, yeah, I like him. Definitely kind of got me into the Dynasty format of looking at those deep players. And then Arian Foster from my early redraft days is always a favorite. So that's one that I'm looking at. But there's a lot of guys. Calvin Johnson, too. Outlook for Aaron Jones on the Vikings for 2024 production. I have no faith in Aaron Jones at all. He's in that RB dead zone. I have him ranked RB 21 in redraft because it feels like I have to rank him somewhere, but I really don't want to draft him. I don't want to draft any of the running backs in that range. Aaron Jones is another one I just don't want. I'd rather either get someone higher or someone lower at a lower cost, but not Aaron Jones. I have no faith in him. I'm not really all that interested. And lastly, what do you think on average are the most common mistakes Dynasty managers make and how can we exploit it? Also, are there optimal time windows in the season and offseason for exploiting these common mistakes? Well, I think trading away future firsts too often and too aggressively is the biggest mistake. And yeah, the best way to do that is to buy people's firsts from years out, target their 2026 firsts. They'll trade them for nothing. Some people really don't understand the value of those picks. So that would be something I would look at. As for optimal time windows, I think you should be active the entire season, but people are most likely to do stupid things 2 times a year. Number 1, during the rookie draft. Number 2, when they're making a playoff push in season. That's when people do the dumbest things. That's when you can take the most advantage of them. And that's when I would look to be the most aggressive. Now, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty, redraft, start sit, and more. And every sign-up helps support my independent content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.